Welcome back to the Audacity of Him, the channel where we explore the absolute, mind-boggling limits of male overconfidence and the spectacular moments when reality comes crashing down on it. Have you ever met a guy who thinks he's an expert in something you've literally spent your entire life mastering? The kind of guy who will confidently explain to you how to do your own job, unprompted, while standing in your workspace? Today, we are taking that exact scenario and hitting the gas. Literally, we're going to the racetrack. This is the story of a girl, a family legacy, a beige car that smells faintly of blueberry muffins, and a guy named Trevor who possessed a level of audacity so dense it had its own gravitational pull. Sit back, relax, and let's dive into the legend of the beige bullet. If you follow stock car racing at all, you know the name Elliott. The Elliott family is royalty on the dirt tracks and asphalt ovals of the South. There's Bo Elliott, who once won a 500-lap endurance race with a broken collarbone and a car that was actively on fire for the last 3 miles. There's Duke Elliott, who is legally forbidden from entering certain states because his driving style is considered a public hazard. And there's Wyatt Elliott, the tactical genius who can hear a loose bolt in an engine block from 3 garages away. And then there's Cassandra Elliott, the youngest, the only girl. Growing up in the Elliott household didn't mean playing with dolls. It meant learning how to bleed brakes before you learned how to ride a bicycle. Family dinners were just loud arguments about tire pressure and drafting strategies. Cassandra didn't just learn how to drive. She learned how to survive. When your 3 older brothers use you as a human bumper car during practice sessions on the family's private dirt track, you either learn to hold your line or you end up in the cornfield. Cassandra spent a lot of time in the cornfield at age 12. By age 18, nobody could put her there. But Cassandra had a problem. She wanted to race professionally, but she knew exactly what would happen the second she entered the track with the last name Elliott on her bumper. The media would swarm. The other drivers would either be terrified of her or target her to prove a point. She didn't want to be the Elliott girl. She wanted to earn her wins in the trenches. So she devised a plan, a glorious undercover plan. Cassandra Elliott temporarily ceased to exist. In her place emerged Penelope Higgins. Penelope was a 28-year-old dental hygienist who supposedly liked knitting, watching reality TV, and had just decided to try out this racing thing for a little bit of fun on the weekends. To complete the illusion, she needed the right car. Her brothers offered her a state-of-the-art custom-built chassis. Cassandra declined. Instead, she went to a local scrapyard and purchased a 2008 sedan that was the exact color of oatmeal. It had 0 aerodynamic styling. It looked like the kind of car your great aunt drives to the pharmacy at 15 miles per hour below the speed limit. She stripped the interior, installed the required roll cage and safety gear, and dropped a monstrous, fire-breathing, custom-tuned V8 engine under the hood. It was a wolf in sheep's clothing, a very boring beige sheep. For a sponsor, she didn't get an energy drink or a motor oil company. She got her local bakery. Across the side of the beige doors, in lovely looping pastel pink cursive, it read, "Auntie Mabel's Muffins and Scones." She named her car the Beige Bullet. Penelope's debut was at the Tri-State Amateur Qualifiers. It was a gritty, local track where guys with more ego than driving skills came to burn rubber and shout at each other. Enter Trevor. Trevor, or T-Bone as he insisted everyone call him, drove a neon green monstrosity called the Predator. T-Bone was a walking, talking cliché. He wore wraparound sunglasses on the back of his head, had tribal tattoos that he definitely got at a strip mall in 2012, and constantly drank from a gallon jug of water laced with something called Rhino Sweat pre-workout. T-Bone considered himself the alpha male of the local circuit. He had won exactly 2 races in his life, mostly because the guys ahead of him had mechanical failures. But in T-Bone's mind, he was basically Dale Earnhardt reincarnated. Penelope was in her pit box, wearing a plain white racing suit that looked slightly too big for her, carefully checking the tire pressure on the beige Bullet. She had her hair up in a messy bun, deliberately chewing a piece of bubble gum and looking as harmless as humanly possible. "Hey there, sweetheart," a booming voice echoed over the hum of the garage. Penelope looked up. T-Bone was leaning against the roof of her car, completely disregarding the unwritten rule of never touching another driver's vehicle. "Oh, hi," Penelope said, her voice an octave higher than normal, batting her eyelashes just a fraction. "Can I help you?" T-Bone chuckled, taking a loud slurp from his rhino sweat jug. "Just checking out the competition. Or, well, the traffic anyway. You lost, darling? The spectator parking lot is out back by the grandstands." "Nope," Penelope chirped, popping a bubble. "I'm racing. I'm Penelope. It's my first time on a real track. I usually just drive pretty fast on the highway when I'm late for my dental appointments." T-Bone threw his head back and laughed. It was a loud, braying sound. "Oh man, that is adorable! A dental hygienist! Look, Penny, can I call you Penny? You're gonna want to stick to the outside lane today, okay? Just stay out of the way of the big boys. We get pretty aggressive out there, and I'd hate to see this, fine piece of cardboard get scratched." He slapped the hood of the beige Bullet. Underneath that hood, a 750 horsepower engine, hand-built by Wyatt Elliott, slept silently. "Oh, thank you so much for the advice, Mr. T-Bone. Just remember the name. You'll be seeing a lot of the back of my car today." T-Bone leaned in closer, dropping his voice into what he probably thought was a sultry educational register. "See, racing is about the apex. It's about feeling the beast between your legs. You gotta know how a carburetor breathes. You even looked at a carburetor, Penny?" Cassandra Elliott, who had rebuilt her first carburetor blindfolded on a bet when she was 14, widened her eyes in mock amazement. "A carburetor? Is that the part that makes the loud vroom vroom sound?" T-Bone smiled a pitying, smug smile. The audacity of him was radiating so intensely Penelope could almost see it as a heat haze. "Yeah, honey, that's the part that makes the vroom vroom. Just try not to stall it on the starting line, okay?" He swaggered away, high-fiving his equally obnoxious pit crew. Penelope watched him go, slowly lowering the tire gauge. The ditzy smile faded from her face, replaced by a cold, calculating stare that was pure, unfiltered Elliott. "Oh, T-Bone," she whispered to herself, "I'm going to ruin your entire week." The race was a 50-lap sprint. T-Bone had qualified in the second row. Penelope, having intentionally driven a slow qualifying lap to maintain her cover, was starting dead last in the 20-car field. As the cars lined up on the grid, the engines roared to life. T-Bone was showing off. He was revving his engine so hard flames were spitting from his exhaust, trying to intimidate the crowd and the other drivers. Over the radio, Penelope's crew chief clicked in. It wasn't some hired hand. It was her eldest brother, Bo, sitting in an unmarked van in the parking lot, watching through binoculars. "All right, Cassie," Bo's gravelly voice crackled in her earpiece. "You're dead last. Neon Boy is up front acting like a clown. What's the play?" "The play, Bo," Cassandra said, her voice dropping down to its natural, calm, icy tone, "is psychological warfare." "Copy that. Happy hunting." The green flag waved. The roar was deafening. T-Bone mashed the gas, his neon green car surging forward. He drove exactly like his personality, aggressive, loud, and incredibly sloppy. He was diving into corners too fast, burning up his tires and cutting off other drivers. He managed to bully his way into first place by lap 10, driving with reckless arrogance. Meanwhile, at the back of the pack, the beige bullet was on the move. Cassandra wasn't just passing cars, she was performing surgery. She drove with a terrifying surgical precision. She didn't waste an inch of track. While the amateur drivers slid around corners fighting their steering wheels, Cassandra glided. The beige car weaved through the pack like a ghost. By lap 20, she had quietly sliced her way from 20th place to 5th. By lap 30, she was in 2nd. Up ahead, about 100 yards down the track, was the neon green bumper of the Predator. "Target acquired," Bo chuckled over the radio. "Let him cook a little longer," Cassandra replied, her eyes locked on T-Bone's erratic line. "He's shredding his right front tire. He's braking entirely too late going into turn 3. Want to pass him now?" "No," she said, a wicked grin spreading beneath her helmet. "I want to haunt him." On lap 35, T-Bone checked his rearview mirror. He expected to see empty track, a testament to his undeniable alpha driving skills. Instead, filling his entire mirror was the grille of a 2008 beige sedan. He blinked. What the hell? The dental hygienist? He mashed the gas on the straightaway, expecting his superior machine to leave her in the dust. The beige bullet stayed glued to his bumper, exactly 6 inches away. Not 5 inches, not 7, exactly 6. Cassandra was drafting him perfectly, letting his car punch a hole in the air while she conserved her fuel and tires, just letting him pull her along. Inside his cockpit, T-Bone was starting to sweat. "Where did she come from?" he yelled at his spotter over the radio. "She's right on you, T-Bone! Shake her!" T-Bone tried to shake her. He swerved left. The beige car mirrored him. He swerved right. The beige car was right there. It was like he was towing a very boring trailer. Going into turn 1 on lap 38, Cassandra decided it was time to introduce T-Bone to an Elliott family tradition. It's known in racing as the bump and run, but Cassandra preferred to call it a polite tap on the shoulder. As T-Bone slowed down for the corner, Cassandra didn't hit her brakes. She just let the nose of the beige bullet kiss the rear bumper of the neon car. Tap! It wasn't enough to crash him, but at 120 miles per hour, it was enough to make the back end of his car wiggle violently. T-Bone panicked, fighting the steering wheel to keep from spinning out, his heart leaping into his throat. He saved it, but he slid wide up toward the wall. Cassandra calmly slid the beige bullet right underneath him on the inside lane, easily passing him. As she drove perfectly side by side with him for 3 seconds, she took one hand off the steering wheel, looked over at him, and gave him a cheerful, enthusiastic Miss America-style pageant wave. T-Bone was apocalyptic. The audacity! The absolute disrespect! From a dental hygienist named Penny! "Oh, it is on!" T-Bone screamed in his car. He slammed the accelerator, his bruised ego taking total control of his brain. Cassandra knew exactly what he would do. She had passed him, but she didn't pull away. She deliberately slowed down just a fraction, letting him catch right back up to her bumper. She was playing cat and mouse, and T-Bone was a very large, very angry, neon green mouse. For the next 10 laps, Cassandra put on a masterclass in psychological torture. Every time T-Bone tried to pass her on the outside, she would drift up just enough to take away his air, forcing him to back off. Every time he tried to dive inside, she closed the door so smoothly it looked choreographed. She was driving defensively, but it looked effortless. The beige bullet was an impenetrable wall of oatmeal-colored steel. The crowd in the stands was going wild. They had no idea who Penelope Higgins was, but they were absolutely loving the sight of the loudmouth in the neon car getting schooled by a vehicle sponsored by baked goods. "He is losing his mind down here," Bo reported over the radio, laughing so hard he was coughing. "His spotter is literally begging him to calm down." "He's overdriving the car," Cassandra noted calmly, shifting gears. "His tires are completely gone. He's sliding in every corner. Let's finish him off." It was lap 49. 1 lap to go. The white flag waved. Cassandra deliberately swung wide going into turn 2, leaving the bottom lane wide open. It was a blatant trap, a golden invitation. T-Bone, blinded by rage and desperate not to lose to Penny, took the bait. He dove his neon car hard into the inside lane, trying to pass her. "Gotcha, sweetheart!" he yelled in his helmet. But Cassandra wasn't there anymore. Anticipating his exact move, she had already tapped her brakes, executing a flawless crossover maneuver. She let T-Bone dive inside, and as he slid up the track, his ruined tires unable to grip the asphalt at that speed, Cassandra cut her steering wheel hard left, diving underneath him. It was a textbook move. It was beautiful. T-Bone realized his mistake a fraction of a second too late. He was carrying too much speed on dead tires. As Cassandra smoothly accelerated past him on the inside, securing the lead, T-Bone tried to crank his wheel to block her. It was the final nail in his coffin. With no traction left, the rear end of the Predator snapped loose. The neon green car spun violently like a very expensive, very loud top. T-Bone locked his brakes, sending up a massive cloud of white tire smoke. Cassandra crossed the finish line to take the checkered flag, the crowd erupting into a frenzy. In her rearview mirror, she watched the climax of her masterpiece. T-Bone's car slid completely off the asphalt. It spun through the dirt, crossed the access road, and plowed directly into the infield, which, thanks to a heavy rainstorm the night before, was a giant soupy pit of thick brown mud. The Predator came to a halt, buried up to its axles in muck. Cassandra did her cool-down lap, gently pulling the beige bullet into victory lane. She unbuckled her harness, took a deep breath, and prepared to put the Penelope mask back on. As she climbed out of the window, the crowd cheered. She waved, acting perfectly bubbly and overwhelmed. Suddenly, stomping across the track, came T-Bone. He had trudged out of the infield. His neon green racing suit was coated in mud from the knees down. Mud was splattered on his face. He looked like a swamp monster that had just lost a fight with an energy drink factory. He pushed past the track officials, marching right up to Cassandra. "You cheated!" he bellowed, his face red underneath the mud. "There is no way! That thing is illegal! You've got illegal modifications! Nobody drives a beige piece of trash like that and beats me! I'm the Predator!" Cassandra looked at him. She didn't bat her eyelashes this time. She didn't pitch her voice up. She just stared at him with the cold, dead-eyed confidence of a woman who had spent a decade surviving the Elliott brothers. She leaned in close, so only he could hear her over the crowd. "Your entry speed on turn 3 is garbage, Trevor," she said, her voice dropping into a low, terrifyingly calm register. "You burn up your right front tire because you don't know how to feather the brake, and you rely entirely too much on horsepower to fix your terrible racing line. A monkey driving a lawnmower could have passed you on the inside today." T-Bone froze. The sheer mechanical audacity of her insult, delivered in a tone that sounded like a seasoned combat veteran, completely short-circuited his brain. His mouth hung open. Who are you?" he stammered, the audacity finally draining out of him, replaced by genuine fear. "I'm Penelope," she said cheerfully, her voice instantly returning to the ditzy pitch. "The dental hygienist. By the way, you really need to floss better, Trevor. Your gums look inflamed." She patted him on his mud-covered shoulder, turned around, and went to accept her plastic trophy and a very large basket of muffins from Auntie Mabel. T-Bone just stood there, ankle-deep in mud, staring at the beige bullet, his reality completely shattered. He never raced the Predator on that track again. Rumor has it he sold the car and took up competitive fishing. As for Cassandra, Penelope and the Beige Bullet went on to win the next 6 local qualifiers before mysteriously disappearing into the sunset, leaving behind a trail of devastated male egos and a deep, enduring respect for the color beige. And that, my friends, is why you never, ever judge a book by its cover. And you certainly never try to mansplain a carburetor to a woman who drives a car sponsored by a muffin shop. The audacity to walk up to someone's car and tell them to stay out of your way? T-Bone learned the hard way that true skill doesn't need to be painted neon green and scream for attention. Sometimes true skill is just quietly sipping tea in a beige sedan, waiting for you to make a fool of yourself. If you love The Legend of the Beige Bullet, do me a favor and smash that like button. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe and ring the notification bell. We've got plenty more stories coming your way about the hilarious, disastrous, and completely avoidable consequences of unchecked male audacity. Until next time, stay humble, stay in your lane, and check your ego at the door. See ya, guys!